there are entities that are not going to be aligned with what we want.
There's a plan and a scheme to merge man with machines, to reprogram our genes, to replace human beings with something obscene, a transhuman dream, a self-aware robot that can't be redeemed.
Since the President of the United States has been teaming up with transhumanists, and since the world is clearly moving in that direction, it's important for everyone to know what's really at the root of transhumanism. But first, let's look at the definition. Transhumanism, the belief or theory that the human race can evolve beyond its current physical and mental limitations, especially by means of science and technology. One of those physical limitations that transhumanists desire to conquer is death itself. In their words,
I'm Max Moore. I'm 53 years old, and I'm trying to solve the problem of death.
So the number one goal of transhumanism generally is to try to overcome death with technology.
But now we can actually seriously talk about a scenario where we will be able to extend our longevity indefinitely.
I love to say that we are between the last human mortal generation and the first immortal generation. And where do you want to be? Among the last stupid people who die, or the first intelligent people who are able to live indefinitely young?
So for the first time in history, we can now think about living forever and not be locked up in a lunatic farm. We're talking about immortality as being part of our medical agenda.
Here's the bottom line. Transhumanism is simply the oldest lie in the book, repackaged. It's the original lie, spoken to the first humans by the enemy of God. It's a two-part lie. Let's take a look. You will not surely die, the serpent told the woman. Genesis 3:4. The serpent directly contradicted God's previous statement to Adam and Eve that they surely would die if they ate from the tree he commanded them not to eat from. In other words, sin brought death into the world, both physical and spiritual. There's no way around this reality, except God's way of redemption in Jesus Christ. Now fast forward to today, and the same spirit behind that first deception is behind the deception of today, the transhumanism lie. The lie that the fall of man can be transcended and that we can attain our own utopia and live forever if we want, apart from God. Now let's take a look at the second part of the lie.
I think the irony is that we told stories of God creating us, and I think the reality is that we are creating God.
Not the intelligent design of some God above the clouds, but our intelligent design.
We are going to become gods. Period. If you don't like it, get off. You don't have to contribute. You don't have to participate. But if you're going to interfere with me becoming God, you're going to have big trouble.
For God knows that on that day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened and you will become as gods, knowing good and evil. Genesis 3:5. The essence of this lie is that humanity doesn't need God and that God is holding us back from flourishing and transcending our human condition. That original deception has been repackaged into what we have today, the lie that humans can become godlike through advancements in technology and science. This plays into human pride and our innate desire to be our own gods and do what we want to do, independently of God's authority. There is no utopia or immortality through science and technology. Since God is the source of life itself, rejecting the very source of life is not the way to attain eternal life or overcome human limitations. The good news is death has already been defeated, and we can have eternal life through Jesus. As John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life." In addition to transhumanism being based on the oldest lie, it's also part of the globalist New World Order agenda, which from a Christian standpoint is the beast system, prophesied in Revelation. In other words, transhumanism is an anti-Christ philosophy, whether transhumanists realize that or not. Don't fall for the original lie repackaged. Trust in Jesus and be born again as a true child of God. Then you will have the eternal life that your heart longs for, with your true Father, the one who created you and loves you immeasurably.
This transition is really, really massively important for our entire species to navigate, and nobody is paying attention. This thing is happening in the background, and underneath it all is this rising tsunami that, if we're not careful, is going to wipe us all out.